G'day and welcome to Brass on Tap. Thanks so much for joining me for an exciting episode number 17 tonight with Øystein Baadsvik. He is an incredible tuba soloist. If you have not seen him before, what have you been doing with your life? He is incredible. You should have headed over to his YouTube channel before this stream as it was included in the description and treated yourself to him. But if you haven't and you are new to this channel, make sure you head over to YouTube, check out the previous episodes I've done, which is incredible. I've got an exciting guest next week, which is Bobby Shu. He is an absolute legend of the trumpet, and I can't wait to chat to him. But that is not why we're here. We're here tonight to speak to Øystein. So let's get the stream started. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 17. If you're out of lockdown, I'm so happy for you, and that's amazing. And obviously, if you're living around the UK, we can see light at the end of the tunnel. We are crossing the fingers that this is going to be it. So everyone keep practicing, everyone keep coming and supporting everyone and showing... just enjoying music and spreading your music out there. And this is why I've got Øystein here with me. So he's literally someone that I've always seen. He's always been on my YouTubes. And I said to myself, I wonder if he would ever come and chat to me because he's such a lovely guy and an incredible tuba player. So I asked, and he said yes. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Øystein. How you doing?
Hello, Ben.
So
that introduction made me smile.
Thanks so much for coming and joining me tonight. We've got some viewers here. For anyone new to the channel, guys, make sure you get your questions in. Anything goes here. Get your questions in while we've got Øystein's here, because in the end, you've got to use this time. You've got to use this access to actually pick his brain. He's got some exciting stuff coming up. So Øystein, I do start most of my streams this way, just based on the craziness of this last year. Like we were just chatting off screen. It has been a year for the UK, which is just insane. So just dive into a little bit about what this past year has been for you and what you've been, just touch on what you've been doing to keep yourself going.
Yeah, like every other freelancer, it's been rough. And in March, when this hit Norway and pretty much the rest of the world, all my gigs just vaporized. I usually travel around 200 days a year.
Wow.
And I went from 200 to 0 in less than a week. So it was a pretty overwhelming experience. So, I mean, one thing is that it has some financial challenges, but also the lifestyle. I've been married for 30 years, and my wife is used to me going on the road for such a long time.
She must be sick of you now.
Yeah, I've been stuck at home for a year, and actually, I think I've had a week or less than a week. I was lucky enough to go to Latvia and play a concert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were the only country in Europe that didn't have any restrictions at that point. That must have been September or something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But besides from that, it's been very, very dry.
Yeah, so what little things have kept you going then in this past year?
The first thing I did was carving out a sink from a stone.
Amazing.
Yeah, sounds pretty crazy, but I live in the ocean in Norway, and we got like rocks this size.
Yeah.
So I took one of those rocks and I dragged it up to my driveway, and I took a chisel and a grinder, and I just started working on that. A lack of anything better.
Yeah.
And I made a sink of it, and that sink is now in my bathroom. So that's the first thing I did. And I started figuring out other things. So
I've got to admit, that has to be one of the most amazing things I've ever heard in my life. I wish I could make a sink out of a stone. That's incredible. Yeah. So whereabouts are you based?
I'm based in Norway, close to Trondheim, which is about a third up in Norway.
Yeah.
And what you will find there is, kind of hilly landscape, and we're close to the ocean. And my house where I live in now is at the ocean. So I've got my own tuba house. That's where I'm in now.
Yeah.
Used to be more of a guest house, but since this Corona thing, I just occupied the whole thing. It's going to be a tuba house.
So you must be able to like play for all hours of the day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's crazy. A tuba house. I've definitely got mates that I work with that would love to have a tuba house. That's for sure. Maybe it's something we can think about building over here. So you've built yourself up to be to have an incredible following, really. Like, you're an incredible tuba soloist. How did it come about? Were you you did a TED talk on tuba. That's crazy. Like, it's to think about, with all the TED Talk stuff out there, and then on tuba. And I've watched it myself, and it's great. It's incredible. And I mean, where you are in Norway, you must have with the landscaping and everything, it must be absolutely gorgeous and have a lot of inspiration that comes from that. So how did it actually start, though? Was tuba your first choice?
I didn't have a choice, to be honest. I played euphonium for a couple of years. Yeah, I played euphonium for a couple of years when I was 9 to 10 to 12. And I didn't get the point. And I don't blame the euphonium itself. It wasn't the euphonium. So any euphonium players here, I don't have anything against euphonium. It's more that I was too young to appreciate music at that time. So I needed a couple of years, needed to get into my 15th year in order to kind of get to those important questions in life. Why are we here?
Yeah.
What's the meaning of life and all of this?
Yeah, of course.
And that's when I connect those questions to music, that's when you get hooked. You don't necessarily get any concrete answers, but you start to, okay, so there is comfort in music, and music is powerful. Music can move people, change lives to the better. And that's when I decided I want to do this full time.
Yeah, I mean, you've just nailed it right there. And I think the world has realized that in this last year, that the world needs music. Everyone does.
Yeah, so. And then when I finally did that, I went to the local school band, which we have a lot of in Norway. Every school has their own little band, sometimes just 4 members, but mine had around 20 or something. And the only available instrument, if I wanted to start there, was a tuba. So I got this old, beaten up Schenkenlarge E-flat tuba. I brought it back home in a box that looked equally bad, and I started playing on that. And before long, I got a little bit better tuba and a little bit better one. And after 2 years of playing the tuba, I was in the Norwegian National Youth Band. So it went pretty fast when I started.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. If anyone is watching from Norway, are there still opportunities like in your growing up? Are there youth bands out there and everything still going?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of bands. The schools have probably equally a number of bands now than back then, and we also had this national youth bands, like a national brass band, national wind band, but I think they've cut down on those for some stupid reason now. So I hope if you're watching, anyone with the power over that, just make it happen, because it's so important for the young kids. And then, of course, we got the same issue there as with other concert arenas now in the Corona time. There's no activity, or people try to do exercises on Zoom and stuff like this. It's not the same, but it will get there. It
certainly will. And I think a lot of people now are getting to the stage where, they're being either supplied or they're picking up basic equipment, because I'm hoping that working from home isn't going to be just the only way we can survive, apart from venturing out every now and then. I'm hoping life will get back to normal. But I think this has forced us all to, including myself, to go out and get yourself set up so you can do some recordings at home, or you can teach at home. And and this could be a good thing. It might access a larger audience and a larger world. So, the positives and negatives, I guess, there's a lot of negatives. So we definitely got to focus on those positives when it comes to it, don't we? That's a crazy. So when it comes to tuba, you don't play a conventional tuba, do you?
No, I realized pretty quick. I went to study in Stockholm, and I played in Symphony Orchestra there for about 4 or 5 years in the Stockholm Philharmonic, Stockholm Opera, and Norrköping Symphony Orchestra, even in Trondheim Symphony Orchestra. And I played through the core repertoire. You know, playing tuba in an orchestra, it's a lot about 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
3, and so you count and count and count. And although I love listening to all this beautiful music, I would like to have a little bit more to say, a little bit more input, a little bit more input into the music. So that's pretty much the simple reason why I quit doing that, and I went on to become a soloist.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you're sponsored as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm sponsored by Marathon. I worked with them since 2001, so we got the 20-year anniversary this year. They've been very nice to me, listened to all my requests for do it this way, this way, this way, and they've made me 2 tubas. One is called Starlight. That's the one I play on now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful instrument with, and this is unusual, it's a cylindric taper on the valve section. Yeah, pretty much like a trumpet. The common thing now to do on tubas is what do you call it? Conical.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
In order to get a little bit more round sound. I don't want round sound necessarily. I want clear sound. That's the difference. So that's why we made it this way. And then I got one with conical valve system too, which is called a Norwegian Star. And that's Norwegian also an E flat.
And if people wanted to find them, where could they go to find them?
Yeah, they can go to miraphone.de. Just search for Miraphone on Google and you'll find these instruments.
Great. So am I right in saying that when you did, because you've done a couple of lockdown videos, haven't you? Keeping yourself motivated and going. There's quite a few actually you've had over YouTube, which is amazing. I would like to play I'm guessing these are your tubas that you've had made when I'm playing the Air, the lockdown video you did, Air.
Yeah, that's true. The 3 first parts are done on my Miraphone, and the lowest part is done on my Hirschbronner C tuba.
Brilliant. Well, this is a beautiful piece. So everyone enjoy this, and you get to see the tubas in action. Absolutely stunning. It's I hope you enjoy that. Freddie Gavita has dropped in. Thank you very much, Freddie. And he says, absolutely beautiful, and rightfully so. Thank you, Freddie. That to me is such a beautiful sound. And what I love about that video is your ease. Your ease is you make it just look so easy. It looks the same whether you're up there to whether you're down here. And a lot of people could take so much from that, just having that relaxed approach, So let's dive a bit into some of the CDs you've done, because obviously you've done that. And then we'll move on to a bit of technique stuff, and we'll dive into this incredible embouchure that you've built over time. So some of the CDs you've done, they've gone to a point where John Williams actually quoted that your rendition of his concerto surpasses anything that he could hope for. Which what an accolade! Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yes, I did this recording with the Singapore Symphony Orchestra. We did the Vaughan Williams concerto, the John Williams, the Arutunian concerto, and the Landscape by Lundqvist. And we were pretty happy with the recording, no doubt about that. But then a few months later, I got a letter in the mail, those old-fashioned paper letters.
Where are they?
Yeah, from John Williams. Wow. And he wrote simply that he loved my rendition of his concerto and that it surpasses anything a composer can hope for. And he wished me best of luck in the future, signed with John Williams. And first of all, it's such an encouragement for a musician to get that kind of recognition for someone that I admire so much as a composer. And secondly, just this says a lot about him as a person too, that it takes his time to do that he knows can be a great encouragement. So it was a great experience.
Of course. I mean, and it's something that I really notice with the guys who are the greats. They do take that time, they'll play a gig and they'll invite and they'll take that time to chat to people and they'll take that. And it's something that a lot of us, it's been coming up on this stream constantly, which is practice hard, play hard, but be kind, and it's something that we all need to take away, especially in what we're dealing with right now. So that's great. So did that come from your album Tuba Works? Is that correct?
That was the Tuba Works was the first CD I made. This CD that John Williams commented on is called 20th Century's Tuba Concerto.
20th Century, yeah, that's amazing. So how many actual albums have you done?
12 solo albums.
Okay. What do you prefer? Here's a good question for you. What do you prefer, performing on a stage or being put under pressure in a recording studio?
Actually, I can't choose.
Really?
I can't be without any of them. Being on the stage and having this fantastic possibility to create atmosphere and to interact with people, because that's really what you do. You look at people, you get a little feedback, you find somebody that listens really carefully, and you close your eyes and you play just for them. And that's something you can't experience in the studio. But in the studio, creating something that will last forever is both intimidating but also very intriguing.
Yeah. So do you ever suffer from any nerves or anxiety or anything like that? Has that ever creeped in? And if it has, what are little ways that you've, for our listeners, that you've dealt with, help deal with them? Or you might still get them, who knows?
Yeah. I don't think that you will perform really good unless you have a certain amount of tension, butterflies in your stomach. Like something has to be
I'll
there.
Agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course it can be too much, and then it can be very destructive. So here is my best advice for dealing with nerves. Several things. Number one, be prepared. You can't really just go on stage unprepared and think positively and think that everything's going to be fine. Unconsciously that you don't really know this if you haven't practiced.
Yeah.
So, but you can still practice a lot and go on stage and wonder, do I actually know this? So I use actually coins. I take 10 coins like this.
Oh, okay,
And I put them on my table, and I play a piece. Let me just demonstrate that. Okay, it was doable.
I liked it.
Yeah, fine. So I put one coin over to another pile here. Do it again. And I keep on doing that.
So you challenges yourself to get it right each time.
Yeah, I got to have it 100% right, and then I can move a coin over. And let's say I moved 9 coins over.
Yeah.
If I don't get this last coin, the 10th coin right, I have to move all that 9 coins back and start over again.
Oh, wow.
So let's see if we can do that. Yeah.
That was funny though. I mean, even though each take was great, but from a listener's point of view, I mean, it might have just been my ears, I don't know, but you just got better and better. It was like, oh, hearing more in it, and I guess that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah. So now you wonder maybe what does this has to do with nervosity? And here's the connection. When you go on stage after you've done this for 10 times in a row for 3 months, that means you've played this 1,000 times correct.
Oh, wow.
After each other, right?
Yeah.
And when this little Norwegian troll comes and pokes you with the fork just before you're going to start the concert and says, hey, do you really know this? Yeah. We all have this feeling. We all have had this troll come up to us. Do you know this? And you start thinking, do I actually know this? Well, if you've done this coin thing, you can tell the troll that I did it right the 1,000 last times I tried. So chances are pretty high that I will do it right. And that is hardcore preparation, I would say.
That certainly is. And that is definitely something that a lot of us can do. I've seen something similar where they just put their mouthpiece case or something and they just move it across the stand. And if it makes it to the end, if it doesn't, you do it wrong, you have to move it all the way back. But then you just...
But here's another hint for nervosity. I saw once a seminar with a guy lecturing about nervosity, and he took up a ball once and he said, I need a volunteer. So he said to a girl, come up here on the stage. She wasn't very enthusiastic about that, but what do you do? So she walked over to the other side of the stage, and it was about 20 meters between them. And he said, I'm going to throw this ball at you, and whatever you do, don't drop it on the floor. So of course she became nervous, and when he threw the ball, she fumbled and she dropped it on the floor, as expected. Now, he said, now I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to make a little mark on it, an X, and you are going to count how many times this spins, or how many times you can see this mark spinning on the way to you. And you don't need to catch the ball at all, just count. And she was relaxed by that. She knows, okay, that shouldn't be too hard. So he threw the ball and she counted 1, 2, 3, 4, and she said 5 times while holding the ball.
Because she just thought about it.
Everybody got what he had done. He had deflected her attention from the task of catching the ball over to counting. And what she did was just the automatic reaction to catching the ball, and that happened easily because everybody knows how to catch a ball when they don't think about it. And that's exactly how we can treat our brain too. And now, what's our tennis ball? What is our tennis ball as musicians? What can we use to deflect our thoughts about hitting the right notes or playing the wrong note? Because that's what we worry about. We never worry about playing great music or making the expression right. We worry about very concrete things like missing the note. So what we can do is pretty obvious. We can think about musical expression. We can focus our whole brain capacity on shaping a fantastic phrase, on getting that dancey character in the beginning of the piece, or that singing beautiful character, if that's what you need. And by doing that, you forget about the problems of hitting the right notes, and you only think about communication, and you leave that playing the instrument to your instincts, which should be pretty honed at the time you go onto stage.
Completely. And I mean, that's great advice. I mean, it's in the end, you're concentrating on the whole thing, isn't it? Like, you're concentrating on telling a story of your whole piece rather than, and it doesn't matter whether there's little mistakes or whatever, just in your head, it's like, that's just part of the story that you're telling. It just happened. It's all right.
Yep.
And
that's of course also easier said than done if you never do concerts. So as with everything, you need to do a lot of concerts in order to get into this mode.
So for some of our people who, you know, like in the UK, no one's done any gigging for about a year, people might be a little nervous to go back out there. What kind of stuff do you reckon they could do to sort of prepare them for that? You know, maybe some Zoom stuff with their mates or something, or?
Yeah, I mean, you can do concerts. Let's say you bring your tuba. It's still allowed to bring your tuba on the street, right?
You can. I guess so. I haven't thought about that one yet.
What if you call a home for old people and say that I'm going to pull up with a car to your place, and you can listen to me play for you through the windows, or maybe open the window just a little bit if you dare do that, and you can play a concert for them. It doesn't have to be long. It can be like 10-15 minutes, whatever. That's and just idea. Get used to performing again that way. Or you can be inventive.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of people have come on here and they've said, you know, like the one thing they're struggling with is creating that atmosphere, you know, and like a lot of our players now, especially in the big band or really loud sort of brassy stuff, they think they're prepared and ready to go because they've been playing in a room for so long. Then they go in the real world and they're in a bigger room because everyone's spaced out more. And the volume goes shooting through the roof, and their chops are like, "Oh, what's going on? I can't keep up," you know. And then everyone gets tired super quick. So people are starting to realize that they have to approach it in a different way. So maybe we need to get ourselves out there more and do more.
Yeah, I think so. My good friend Oren Marshall, tuba player in London, you probably know him.
I want to get him on this channel. He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you should. I mean, he has posted videos where he brings his tuba out to a park. And if weather allows, he just plays for people in the park, like kids that are there from a kindergarten or a school, anything. And yeah, why not? It's a way to communicate. It's a way to keep your communication skills.
Yeah, because part of being a musician is, as much as it's not all about reactions and people's praise and everything like that, but it's nice to know that other people like what you do. Isn't it? It's, you know, we play music to be heard. You don't play music to sit in a room somewhere. So
no, I want to add something to that because
go for it.
We often, as musicians, play selfishly, and by that I mean when we walk on stage, we want something. Yeah. We're not there to give. We want the praise from the audience. We want applause. We want recognition. We want a tap on the shoulder. Somebody said, "Yeah, well done, well done." But that's not what music is about. It's about giving, right? It's not about you. It's about the music. And if you can detach yourself from the equation and just give something unconditionally, don't expect something back. It's your job to give, not to get.
Yeah.
If you can think like that, you get less nervous. The audience get more out of it. And it's just a win-win situation.
Yeah. It's something that we touched on. I can't remember who it was with, but you're not going to please everyone when you play. There's people out there that aren't going to like what you do. And there's people out there that are going to absolutely love what you do. So you're right. Just play. Just give what you've got. And people will take it the way they want it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You can't force anyone to like your music.
Could you imagine? Oh, you will listen to this.
I'm so good. I hit all the right notes and I play really in tune. Yeah. Love it.
Why are you not clapping? So I've recently jumped onto your YouTube channel and I saw some incredible instruction videos on there. You go into like even just something as basic as tonguing. But the greatest thing that you do, instead of there's a lot of teachers and stuff out there that literally go, you know, there's a right way to tongue, there's a wrong way to tongue. And this is the right way. Now, the great thing you've done, you've listed and demonstrated every this is the bad stuff. And you've just gone through. And it's so funny. You listen to it and you're like, at some point in my life, yeah, I realized I was doing that and I changed, you know, and it was great to see. So that video is part of something that you started, isn't it?
Yes. So this is something that I've thought about for over 10 years, and I've collected some information about that. And it's an online academy. It's the idea that it's actually possible to improve your playing by watching a video. Let me try to explain this, because when I was learning to play, the way I did it wasn't to go and have a lesson every single week and then come back the next week and have another lesson. The way I learned was I went out, spent a lot of money, traveled to Harvey Phillips in the US. I traveled to see John Fletcher in UK. I traveled to see Harvey Phillips and Michael Lynn and Roger Bobo, Arnold Jacobs. And I gathered information from these guys and I took it back home. I might have recorded the lesson as well. I took this information back home, and then I sat there and I digested this information for months and trying to make it my own. And I don't really need a teacher to tell me that I'm not playing in time, out of tune, the wrong notes, lacking an accent, whatever. I can record myself and find that out myself and save that money.
Yeah, of course.
So the idea was, what if I can put this information into videos? And since I've been teaching thousands of masterclasses over the years, I have a pretty good idea what works, what kind of wording, what kind of examples will make a student transform his playing from trouble with inhalation to a good inhalation. That's usually done in 5 to 10 minutes. With the right type of exercise, the right type of information. So I thought maybe I could put this information into a video course. So now I've actually created the video course, which has information about inhalation, about how to play in the high range, how to play in the low range, articulation, every conceivable variation of articulation, how to play dynamics the right way, how to fix common problems, how to warm up. And I put everything in a 180 lesson course, which is kind of a flagship course. And for the viewers here, I've made a discount. So you will have 25% discount if you follow that
down the bottom.
Link. Yeah, that's there. And I've had actually a lot of tuba players have signed up already, and we have euphonium players, trombone players. I was on a video call with a horn player, actually a retired London horn player from an orchestra that looked into this and thought, this is exactly what I need in order to get that inspiration through these difficult times. And that is really heartwarming for me to see that people can use this in order to get inspired, to improve their playing on every type of area. And then they can, of course, rewatch these videos for eternity if they like. But,
of course.
And we also have interaction, like if there is anything that they wonder after watching a video, you can send me an email and I'll try to explain the best way I can, and they can send me a recording when they're playing, and I can try to give some advice on how to proceed from there. So it's really been an experiment. I haven't seen anything like this for brass yet. There has been some piano courses similar, but this, I think, is one of the first ones for brass. And it was like your first kiss, I have to say. You never know if you're gonna get slapped or if you're gonna get some response back. Yeah, so I was really, really scared when I first launched this 1st of November, but it was super well received, and that was really, really fun to see.
Well, firstly, congratulations on doing it. I mean, 10 years in the planning as well. It's what a time, and this is. I think you've literally latched onto something that is incredibly perfect, is that people can learn off videos. The amount of times I've watched YouTube videos and masterclasses, this, that, and I've picked stuff up. So the fact that they can actually get it straight from you and then get help from you if needed, you know, money, especially when you're where you are, like the restrictions we used to have of having to travel, like you said, you used to travel to all these different guys. Now they can just access you through social media. To me, it's a no-brainer, and I think everyone, I'll be pushing this for at least the next week, if not more, and making sure everyone knows about this, because this is great. I've watched some videos myself that you've just put on free, like explaining some stuff on YouTube, and I haven't actually had the time to dive into it, but I'm going to go check it out straight after this. Can we dive into a little bit of how you approach for our tuba players out there? And everyone, if you do have questions, get your questions in, please. As I don't want to keep Øystein all night. So yeah, can we just, this beautiful relaxed embouchure, is that something you've always just had, or is this something that you've worked on to be able to, because it doesn't change, high, low, quick, fast? I mean, we haven't even started on getting onto the Fanug yet, because that's just that's a different beast altogether. So
yeah, no, I can promise you, I've done all the mistakes you can do, and then some.
Yeah.
Brass instrument. I played like a clarinet, like this.
Okay.
I've stretched my lips out. I've you mentioned it. I've done it. So the main ingredient, I would say, to being able to move up and down effortlessly with fairly the same embouchure is air column control, or the size of the air column. Here's a little image. Yeah, I'm going to be really pedagogical here. It doesn't matter what kind of key it is, it just happens to be bass clef, but a low note, a medium note, and a high note. And as you can see, there are three different air columns here. There's a wide one, a medium, and a small one. And it's a little bit similar to whistling. That's the method I'm using. So I'm going to show that again. So you got that here, and I'm going to do the low one. It's like blowing hot air on the mirror, and you see it fogs up.
Yeah.
That's this one. And then you have this one. That's more of the size of a grape. Yeah. And then you got this one. That's a blueberry size. And by moving the tongue up and down like this, I always try to connect it to the front teeth, though.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to come back and start blocking there. I want to keep it there. So we can try that together. So. Okay. Yeah, so
that's cool. And you can hear it in if you do it properly, you can hear like a whistle that changes in the pitch as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's pretty much it. And here's a little thing that I want to add, because you hear a lot of people say you should increase the speed of the air in the high register.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, I agree on that. But it doesn't. You don't have to blow more air. It happens by itself. Because if you do this, then imagine a river. If it's this wide and you have this pace of the water, what do you think will happen to the speed of the water if the river narrows in like this? It's going to go faster. Exactly. Yeah. So that's it. You don't have to push more air through. You just have to narrow it in, and it will pick up speed automatically.
So it's everyone's mouth is different. So you've got to learn the technique that allows you to speed that air up. So by manipulating your mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, when you're making it narrower, when you're doing this, so on the top there, it's just going faster by physics.
Just as easy as that, everyone.
Yeah. So this, of course, this is the basics, and there are a few other tricks here, but you have to strengthen your lips in order to play high. Of course, I mean, it's like going to the gym and say to the instructor, how can I lift 200 kilos bench press? What's the trick? Yeah. And he will probably tell you something that, okay, start on 30. If you can do that, come back the next week and do 40, and so on and so on.
Yeah. There's a great video you did on, I think it's just breathing, breathing to just play a note. And the sheer amount of bad ways to breathe, and there's a lot of people, I think, out there that could actually relate to a lot of those breaths. And funny enough, when we're not thinking about it, we probably over time let some of those bad habits creep back into our playing, because you get put in a situation. So it's something, I think, breathing, that we've always got to constantly keep that relaxed feel. So could you give us a little bit on your approach to breathing? You don't have to go into the video, because obviously I want people to go to your course, but
the most common mistake, which is also the least talked about, I've never heard anyone mention this at all, is we must open the mouth before we start to inhale. It sounds pretty ridiculous when you say it out like this, but I would say 90% of all brass players start inhalation before they open the mouth. And this is what I mean. You see that?
Yeah.
I'm starting to suck the air in before I've actually let go the corners. So if we can do it in a 3-step way, and that's a good way to practice. You blow the air out, you relax in the face, and then you let the air back in. So let's do that. Then you make sure it's silent, it's open before you start to let the air back in. And that has another consequence, and that is you don't really have to suck the air in, it comes back by itself. Because if you press the air all the way out and let go, it sort of bounces back to this balance point. So let's just try that. So we blow out, straight in the back, and relax. And now the air sort of comes in very, very easily. And if we can combine that with this little opening here, it's super effortless to get the air in. And that's kind of the core of what I call the ND method, the easy, no drama inhalation.
That's incredible. And to think about, like, the way I just imaged it the way you said it was like those, when you squeeze something and then as you let go, the air just automatically comes back in again.
Right. It's actually, I mean, if you think about the balance point being here, that's where you end up when you take a breath. And relax. You can still blow the air out. But when you relax again, you come back to the balance point yet again. So it's almost like pulling down the rubber band, boing, let go, pulling it up, boing, comes down. So if you use the fact that the beginning of the inhalation, boing, so it sort of goes by itself, then it becomes so much easier. And then you start suction when you're here instead.
And then I guess it probably stops a lot of people from overfilling as well, which I think is a problem, because people think, oh, I've got this massive phrase to play, I've got to, it's like, now you've got so much tension going on, and you just hear that in someone's playing, it just squeezes down. So
and then you have this over focus on sucking the air in as fast and massive as you possibly can. And a lot of teachers there's a good intention behind it to tell us that you must breathe in a lot. So the students end up doing something. And they forget that you don't have to struggle that much. You got this kind of exercises, which also is little bit overkill. It's not necessary.
Agreed.
So the more easy you can do it, the better, and it goes fast too. Maybe you believe that this kind of it seems like it takes a lot of time, but if I do a quick example where I play some 16 notes. The breathing is kind of less than 50 milliseconds there. And that's not hard at all. But because I practiced this method now, I just discovered this method like 5 years ago. So I haven't had a lot of time doing it. But after I discovered it, it was like so much easier and less dramatic to get a lot of air in.
That's amazing. With your tongue in just there, it was so clean. Are you a person that will single tongue for as fast as you possibly can? So
no.
You'll try to single tongue, or are you a guy that goes, you know what, this would be easier if I double tongued it?
I'm a lazy guy, so I double tongue with everything. As a matter of fact, I double tongue down to metronome 80 at least. So,
Wow.
for example, on Williams, I double tongue the beginning, da ga da 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 ga da da, and this has to do with not laziness really. It's more about making a more smooth articulation when
Yep.
I need that. Because
Yeah.
with a da ga double tongue, you're going to have a much cleaner and smoother articulation than if you say ta 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 like this.
Yeah. Isn't that incredible that sort of life in general has taught us that almost like an accelerator, like a car, that at certain speeds you have to be in a certain gear. Do you know what I mean? That's what it seems like. It's like at this speed, you must be double tonguing. At this speed, you must be triple tonguing. And you've just totally broke that up because you wanted it to sound a certain way. And that's incredible. That's something that a lot of us should probably be thinking about.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, sometimes when it says legato, you have a slur. I still tongue it because it's going to make it sound more legato.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, a legato is a musical instruction. It's not a technical instruction, it's musical.
Yeah.
So if it sounds more legato with tonguing, go for it.
Yeah.
And opposite, of course.
Of course. I've got to admit, one of the things I do is if I have, say, an octave leap or even like maybe a sixth or something like that, and I have to go or something like that. If it's meant to be like like so, yeah. I'll just do it. I'll just do tongue it, and no one tells the difference. And it's like they're like, you can play it so clean. I'm like, yeah, I'm slurring it. Yeah,
don't tell anyone.
That's true. It's whatever works for you, I guess. And I think that you've just opened up a world of maybe we should all explore more. With little things.
So. The thing is that music is not a theoretical topic. It's very much practical, and whatever sounds good is good. That's my motto. If you can play the One Williams on a vacuum cleaner backwards, perfect. As long as if it sounds good, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Talking about craziness and sounding good and taking tuba to the nth degree. Tell us a little bit about how Funug came about. It's a piece that you've composed yourself.
Yes, that was actually more a thing that developed over many years as a result of playing around and finding solutions to different, actually it was a lot of just having fun. So my teacher said to me, play double tonguing in the low register. So I practiced. And it ended up sounding more like a fishing boat than a tuba. So it stopped doing that. But I found out maybe if I add the little accent to some of those.
Yeah.
Then you have a little bit more fun with the double tongue. And you can also add a little in between those. So and after having done that for a while, just for fun, I found out you can sing in the tuba as well. And so on.
It's great. It really is. I could listen to this piece for ages. It's great to hear that like it developed out of stuff that you were just experimenting yourself. That to me is incredible because I'm guessing you're the only you wrote it yourself. Has anyone been brave enough to give it a go?
It's one of the most played tuba pieces. If you search for on tuba on YouTube, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of recordings out there that I haven't done. And it was also, I think, a tuba player in UK won a kind of BBC Young Talent competition with this piece, or at least really far. So
that's amazing.
so
Well,
it doesn't require a good sound, and that's a good thing. You can really get away with a lousy tuba sound and still
I
sound good on.
I don't know about that. When I watch on, I'm about to play you. I'm about to play our listeners. You playing Fnuk. Now you're playing it with a band, and this is in the open. And there's some stuff you do. It's obviously quite high in some places, but your sound's stunning in there. And obviously you got your little fireworks in there at the beginning. And the greatest thing is about at the beginning, you just see people's faces, and they're into it. They're just like, oh, what's he doing? You know, it's great. And there's probably two other people that I know who have done something similar. And the first time they did it was sort of like a whoa moment. Don't know whether you've seen these moments, but one was Dave Bargeron. Yeah, when he did it with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, like that. That was
Crazy.
stunning. Yeah, it was awesome. And then obviously, quite a bit later was when Youngblood brass band and Nat McIntosh, he did that crazy stuff as well. But yeah, it's great. Anyway, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 6.5 minutes long, but honestly, you're gonna love this. I love it. I'm looking forward to it. So enjoy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
As we were just having a chat during that video, and as I said, you're a rock star. You really are on that stage. What an incredible stage. So you were saying that was down in a quarry, wasn't it?
It's an old quarry that's not in use anymore in Sweden. They used to have operas there, and sometimes concerts like this. It was really a great experience. About 5,000 people they can fit there in that audience, and then they have like a lake going around the stage. So you got to go over a bridge to get on the stage. I remember 3 ladies were singing like sopranos, and they came in on a boat that same day. That was nice. Wow.
I guess in the end you could get away with quite a lot of things having a stage like that, couldn't you? A lot of water. You could even probably try and put on Phantom or something, because Phantom uses water, and and the possibilities are endless. Well, that's incredible. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, that is for Nug. It's your own composition. From what I hear, you do quite a few compositions, don't you?
Yeah, I've been composing music ever since I started playing, but more lately. And I've done a tuba concerto for tuba and orchestra. I have created a bunch of smaller, like easier pieces. Mm-hmm. And I've also made a lot of music for a rock band and tuba, which is not released yet, but it's in its way. So that's going to be a fun little project.
So is that a new CD that might be on the horizon?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, if CDs are still a thing in 2021.
Well, yeah, but even if you could add it to Bandcamp or stuff like that, or somewhere where people can get digital downloads, iTunes, stuff like that. So that'd be great. Well, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes out for that. I'll be doing the same, and I'll be adding the link when I find it to this video. So if you are watching this at a later date, look in the description. Hopefully there will be a link to a CD down there. It's been incredible. We were just chatting off screen there a little bit, and we were just chatting about keeping such a relaxed, just a no pressure situation when you're playing. Have you always been like that, or is it something that, like you were saying, that you got the approach from quite a UK approach?
No,
so how did it come about?
Well, it came about, I had a tuba teacher, Reidar Nilsen, Norwegian. He played in the Trondheim Symphony Orchestra, was my teacher back when I started, or not the first year, but pretty soon. And then he took a lot of impression from John Fletcher and the British way of dealing with the mouthpiece pressure. And so I did it wrong, of course, like anything else in the beginning. And he told me to back off a little bit on the pressure. And one way to practice, for example, if you're doing buzzing, to avoid that is just hold the mouthpiece with 2 fingers rather than just like this. So that alone will make it a lot less hard. And the advantages of less pressure is articulation becomes smoother, slurring becomes easier, the sound becomes better, and also your flexibility, ability to go up and down really quick is also going to be easier. It's possible to play with a lot of pressure, but it's much more muscling your way through the music. Yeah. And in my taste, it doesn't sound so good.
Yeah, and I'll completely agree. And obviously, once pressure starts getting into it, you start getting muscle fatigue, sore muscles, tiredness, recovery time goes up, because obviously your muscles are torn. And yeah, so the less pressure we can put on, like someone explained it to me with an elastic band, and they pulled the elastic band really tight and they flinged it like that, and he just grabbed those 2 bits there, and it completely stopped. And it's like, that's what you're doing to your mouth when you're shoving this thing back into your chops. It just stops it immediately, and then he held it and got you to flick the middle bit, and it just went tick, 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 tick. And it's like, that's what your chops are trying to do when you put too much pressure on. So and it was that made me go, oh yeah, because I mean, for us on trumpet, I don't know, on tuba maybe if you put your arm around you could do it, but on trumpet we've got that silly bloody ring, this thing. Where is it? That thing there.
Yeah, right.
People call it the bloody octave key, and so
but it's really a shortcut. This pressure, it's a shortcut to getting into the high register. Correct. Which is, of course, very tempting, but there are better ways, more sustainable.
Yeah, and it to me, it's sort of like if we learn, like so when I was younger, he just went, just take your finger out, and so I took my finger out, and I was like, and my playing just took off, because it was allowing the freedom from my chops, to move. But now when I play, everyone calls me a little, because my finger just sticks up in the air when I play now, and so I'll drink tea or coffee and my finger's always up. It's like, stop it, stay down. But yeah, so that's the problem I have with that. But apart from that, it's fine. So I have a little episode that I introduced last week. So this is called What is on your stand? So what are you practicing? What are you doing right now that is inspiring you? Nothing.
No, actually, this is on my stand.
Okay.
This is
Concerto for Tuba and Orchestra.
Linkula, Concerto for Tuba and Orchestra. It's a great piece. The reason it's on my stand is I had some video coaching with somebody playing this about a week ago.
Yeah.
So I haven't played it myself, but I like the music, so that's something I'm gonna dig into.
Amazing.
What else is on my stand? I've got the Hindemith Sonata, which is also great music. It's an old classic that I need to dig up now and then. And here is a beauty. This is Sofia Gubaidulina, which is also a fabulous composer from Russia that has written Lamento for tuba and piano.
Yeah, that'd be stunning.
This is something I want to look into. And then this is also something that I will be working more on. This is a piece by Andrea Clearfield called Vati for tuba and piano, written for me, and I am seeing if it's possible to make a version for tuba and string orchestra, or tuba and a little bit bigger orchestra.
That sounds exciting. Oh, thanks very much for sharing what's on your stand. Because in the end, like you're like me. I mean, this one back here, it's half full of trumpet and and flute music between me and the wife. So the amount of times I'll come to practice, and what have I got here? So obviously there's the Cat Anderson ones on my stand. So this is crazy. If you've ever tried to play a whisper G for 20 minutes, that definitely tires your chops out. That tires your corners out anyway. But that's a great one. And she's got like stuff like this, scales and arpeggios. Then like I'll rock up to practice, and she's been up here, and that'll be on the stand. But instead of going, you know what, I'm going to put that down, and I'm gonna put something I want to do, I just I just get out my trumpet, and I'm like, you know what, I might give this flute piece a go. So and it's, to me, that's sometimes when you're with another musician and they've got something crazy up, it's great. You're just like, hang on, this is not my instrument, but I'm going to give it a go. So.
Yeah. Now my wife is violinist, so she gave me this the other day. This is a Telemann 12 Fantasies for skrzypce solo. This is Polish and means solo violin.
All right.
And it's a lot of fantastic music in here. So that's also on my plate.
Yeah, this is great, because this is the kind of stuff. I'm glad I'm not alone, where we just sort of just lay into this stuff. And you're quite well known over in your YouTube channel for doing cello pieces as well, aren't you?
I've done a few cello pieces, and they are in the right octave, so to speak, most of the time.
Yeah, of course. And but there's still there's something to be said about cello pieces being played on a tuba. It is quite stunning to listen to, and you have to have some pretty good articulation to make sure that you're not just smacking the notes out, because there's nothing worse, I think, if you're trying to imitate a cello than a tuba player that's struggling with their articulation. So because but no, you play it so beautifully, it's amazing. Øystein, can I just quick fire a few questions before we finish at you?
Absolutely.
You're so well traveled. What's one of your favorite places that you love to visit, and in normal times, obviously, and what's one of your favorite gigs that you've done?
Good question. I think I really can't pinpoint a specific place or country. There are so many, and what I like about playing, I'd like to angle it this way instead, is to meet new people. And being a musician, you are really privileged to be able to see friends everywhere. And what is so frustrating sometimes with the news, the television news and the newspaper news, is that they focus on the bad stuff happening around the world. While I would say more than 90% of everyone you meet on your travels are great people. And so the world is really much better place than it looks like from the news. So I try to say to my son, for example, which hasn't traveled as much as me, and just get out there and see how many great people there are. And that is what I miss the most, I think. So I like to focus on food. I like a good steak in Texas. I like the sashimi in Tokyo. I like the crab in Singapore. And I like the British breakfast.
Hey, a full English. You can't miss that one, man.
The sausage and the bacon just swimming in fat there. It just keeps you going until 5 in the afternoon, doesn't it?
It does. It is 2 meals. I don't eat lunch when I have a full breakfast over here. It's just how it is. You're right. And that's a great way to think about traveling as well, is food and friends, and with music. That's what the biggest thing I loved about music. I've been traveling since 2004, And I used to work on ships and all the rest of it. And I tried, and the one thing that I did all around the world, even like, I think one of the favorite things that I did was in Hong Kong in a pub called Ned Kelly's, and they have a resident big band that goes there, most nights. And I rocked up. I couldn't speak a word of, I can't speak Chinese, you know.
No.
There happened to be an English guy as a director, but he just went, I had my one with him, and he goes, do you want to come up? And I went, I mean, I have to admit, I had a couple of drinks that day, but I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll get up. And I just sat in this trumpet section. None of them spoke that much English, you know, but as soon as we started playing, it didn't matter. That was it.
No.
Music is just the language of everyone, you know.
It is, and I think I found which one is my favorite gig now. I did a concert with the Warsaw Philharmonic, and it was a British conductor conducting. What's his name? I'll see if I remember later. We did the Vaughan Williams, as we should, of course, and the audience were all dressed up as they are in Poland, and they were, you know, enthusiastically applauding, but you know, withheld enthusiasm, I think you could say. And then I did the Fnug as an encore for these guys.
Or a slap in the face. Wake up.
Yeah, almost. And what happened was, at first they were sitting like with big eyes and they couldn't understand what kind of sound I was making. And then their hands, almost without them controlling them, started clapping. And they were watching their own hands in disbelief. Am I actually clapping in time with the music in the distinguished concert hall in Warsaw? And the whole audience went like this, and it was really a crazy experience. And that taught me the power of a good groove.
You're right there, and completely. And that just proves that music can just take over your emotions, your feelings, without you even noticing. That's incredible. Oh, thanks for sharing that. That's great. How about growing up? Some of your biggest inspirations that have made you the player you are today?
You obviously got the tuba players, including Dave Bargeron, as you mentioned briefly, and his extremely engaging solo on spinning wheels there in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. That recording, I played the whole thing. I actually wrote it down.
Oh, did you? Is that the solo on And When I Die? That one?
Yeah, exactly. It actually is switching from spinning wheels to And When I Die.
Yeah, it's in the middle. Yeah.
So I transcribed the whole thing and I learned to play it, and so that was a huge inspiration. Then of course Michael Lind, there was one of the first big tuba soloists, and Harvey Phillips, all the things he did. Roger Bobo, of course, made a big impression. And then you have non-tuba players, Maurice Andre, of course, and you have, I listen a lot to jazz too, Clark Terry, let me see here. Of course, Charlie Parker, Lester Young, saxophone players. And by learning all of those, Dizzy Gillespie, of course, Miles Davis. One of my favorite Miles Davis recordings is Get Up With It from 1974. That's a recording that is weird, but it's just one long song in the whole album. And anyway, so I learned a lot from listening to many different styles, and I combine those styles, not necessarily consciously in my playing, but they're affecting my playing. So they've opened possibilities for me that I didn't see before. For example, the power of a groove. You can build that into a classical song where you go from A to B, just relying on a very steady tempo, and that's enough to keep the audience coming with you. And then you can learn from pop music as well. I've listened a lot to the boss, what's his name? Bruce Springsteen. I think he has phenomenal phrasing and timings. I love that. And of course, Michael Jackson has done a lot of good stuff. So pretty well-rounded, I guess, when it comes to musical stuff.
That you've just summed it up completely incredibly, that you've listened to such a vast array of genres, styles, people, and that's turned you into the player you are today. And it just proves that we shouldn't get stuck in our morals and be listening to those same those same, you know, oh, I must listen to trumpet, or I must listen to this, you know.
No, and I also want to mention here that the fact that we're listening less now. I feel that music students of today listen less than we did, not only to a wide variety of music, but also their own style of music. So you have now, for example, tuba students that don't know who Michael Lynn is, or Harvey Phillips, or these old heroes that actually paved the way for us.
Yeah.
So I really encourage young players to listen more. Definitely. Anything, just pick up influences.
If you hear that, guys, go out there. I do it all the time. I get stuck on YouTube till about 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, researching stuff and watching people play. It's incredible. And I do a lot of research as well when it comes to someone to recommend someone to me, and I'll go check them out, and most of the time I end up digging straight at the bank and I buy their album. So I always got it with me, you know, and that's just how it is. And then one last question for you. If you could go back, so what's one piece of advice that you would give all the other tuba players or brass players in the world, in a way of if you could go back in time a little bit to tell your younger self, what would be that one piece of advice? It's a hard one, I know.
Yeah, I know, but I think I would say from the beginning that it's not about you and how many right notes you can play. It's about the music. That's pretty much it.
That is a great answer, and I completely agree with you, Øystein. Øystein, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on with me. I hope you enjoyed it. You are an incredible tuba player, and I hope all your gigs start flowing in anytime now. As you said, you're usually doing about 200 in a year. Yeah. So let's cross fingers. And next time you're in the UK, send me a message on Brass on Tap if you can, and hopefully we can get together for a drink and a catch up, and I can come hear you play in person.
Yeah, that'd be phenomenal. I also want to mention that this link you got here with the Brass on Tap discount for my course, it's only valid until Friday midnight.
Is that Friday tomorrow? Okay. Oh, yeah. We need to get it out. So everyone out there. Yeah.
I know. I've read somewhere in marketing that you need to push people a little bit. So there you go. You've been pushed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So what you need to do is you need to take down that link that's just there. I will be putting it in the description as soon as this is over as well. Make sure you put it on all the tuba pages that you are on in social media. Make sure you put it on your stories. Get it out. Ring your friends. Message your friends. This needs to be done. Honestly, you need to head over to Øystein's website. You need to check out his lessons. Use that link, get that 25% off. But just honestly, check out his YouTube page. Check out everything. You will have non-stop, endless inspiration, and this is what the world needs right now. Øystein, I can't thank you enough for coming and joining me and giving up your time. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you and getting to know you. And as I said, I can't wait to hear you and hopefully shake your hand in person one day.
I hope that we can do that, and I'm pretty confident.
Yes.
I can't wait to get to London and get a good warm beer.
Yeah, and then after a few warm beers, the next day we'll warm up with a good old breakfast. How's that sound?
Yes, fantastic. Fantastic.
All right, Øystein. Absolute pleasure. Look after yourself, and we'll chat soon.
Take care.
Everyone out there, stay safe in the practice room, and I love your work.